Go for it.
Well, today's that day again, CJ. So aloha, snack bar to all of you that are out there in YouTube and radio and podcast land. It's I, the Senor Silverback himself, coming to you live with my main man, the master of the flux capacitor, CJ, where we break down the news, the views, and all the information that's important to you. Follow us on Twitter at The Rogue Money. Check us out on Facebook, Rogue Money, and roguemoney.net, where there is being bombastic articles being posted, CJ. Just simply bombastic. Check us out over there. And then check out our sponsors, myfreedomnow.us. Myfreedomnow.us. Do you need your credit fixed? Do you need to get out of debt? Heck, you might not even need to get out of debt and your credit's fine. Or you just need some money. Who wouldn't like some money, especially with these cryptos on a tear, CJ? Who wouldn't like some money to do some investing, to do some, I don't know, maybe buying your dream home or your dream car or just taking that dream vacation or just putting it away for a rainy day. With that being said, check out myfreedomnow.us and learn how these crazy characters can get you $600,000, CJ. $600,000, myfreedomnow.us. Now they got that out of the way, Siege. Wait, there's one more I wanted to tell you guys. You ever wanted to be free of Volt 7? You ever want to be free of the NSA snooping? You want that privacy that you've been looking for? Well, I got just a thing for you guys. Go to mygoldusb.com. mygoldusb.com. And find out how you are able to surf the net, how you're able to go dark online, escape the deep state censorship and surveillance, surf the dark web anonymously, get military-grade encryption, and secure your Bitcoin all in one device. It's a complete operating system, CJ. You just plug and play into your Mac or your PC, and voila! You become like Edward Snowden, but a lot more polished and a lot more user-friendly. What does it do? It's a portable device, and it'll give you complete anonymity, encrypting and hiding everything you do on a computer, no matter where you are. It's based upon 1024-bit DH key encryption. It's the minimum security encryption. Now, what you need to do, it's about the best thing going anywhere in terms of security. It's all you need. You can secure your Bitcoin wallet. You can globally surf the internet in total anonymity and privacy. And you can stop the internet providers from selling your information. Escape the deep state surveillance. mygoldusb.com. Get it today. All right, with that being said, Caesar, I think we're officially done with sponsors. All right, good.
No, we got to get them envy. And, the world is changing rapidly, and the world is changing without the good old U.S.
No, it truly is, man. I think there's a lot of things happening. So where do you want to begin, man? I mean, let's start with the explosive stuff first. I think you want to tie in about paradigm shifts. Let's talk about the kingdom of the outhouse of Saud.
Let's do it. I don't know, there may have been someone that announced that or called that one out or forecasted that well over a year ago in terms of the changes that are happening in the kingdom, the fact that their oil production, their oil reserves are running low. Financially, they're struggling, and now we see a major shift occurring in the Saudi kingdom.
I wonder who that was, CJ.
I don't know. Maybe some guy named B the Gorilla.
I think that name does ring a bell. In fact, a shocking development on Wednesday, shocking to the rest of the world, but not to the readers of Rogue Money, because between myself and especially the Prince, who detailed the exact geostrategy of what the heck's really going on in the kingdom of Saud, in a shocking development, Saudi's King Salman appointed his 31-year-old son, Mohammed bin Salman, his eldest son from his third wife, his favorite son from his Syrian wife, as Crown Prince, placing him as first in line to the throne and removing his nephew, 57-year-old Mohammed bin Nayef, the country's counterterrorism czar and a figure well known to Washington from the royal line of succession, relieving him of his post as interior minister and stripping him from all his titles. Bin Salman already controls the kingdom's defense, oil, economic policies, and today's announcement merely consolidates his power. He was also credited with arranging Trump's successful trip to Riyadh. Al Arabiya television reported that the promotion of the prince was approved by the kingdom's Allegiance Council, with 31 of 34 members approving, and that the king had called for a public pledging of loyalty to Mohammed bin Salman on Wednesday evening in Mecca. The surprise announcements follows 2.5 years of already major changes in Saudi Arabia, which stunned allies in 2015 by launching a war in Yemen, cutting old energy subsidies, and in 2016 proposing partly privatized state oil company Aramco. This is huge, bro.
It's a big shift. It's huge.
Huge. And the craziest thing is like MBS is somebody the prince knows very well. Our prince knows very well. So this is an interesting thing. I mentioned this about a year ago. Put out all the information on it. The prince, when he came on board, he detailed the hell out of this thing, and he called it. He was on the money with this one. Man, I got to get a hold of him and try to get him back here. He's been so busy traveling, God knows where, man. But unreal, huge historic shakeup. So what does that mean, CJ? Well, I'll tell you what it means. I'm like Donald Rumsfeld. I have my own press conference where I give out my own questions and I answer my own questions.
It's a daily briefing.
What does it mean, CJ? Well, I'll tell you, CJ. Well, what does it mean is this. I mean, MBS, his primary driver is to diversify Saudi Arabia away from oil. So he wants Saudi Arabia to be a competitor to the UAE. And let's see how flexible MBS is. And again, MBS is half Syrian. Remember that. Keep that in the back of your mind. MBS is half Syrian. Wow. Anyway, what do you want to touch upon next?
Well, again, I think that it ties directly to this V in terms of the fact that the petrodollar and whole, and I imagine that the continued fall in oil prices, we're seeing now that it costs the Saudi kingdom more money to produce its oil than it's selling, where they're having to liquidate pretty much all of its treasuries in order to sustain things. And if I remember correctly, that whole idea around the petrodollar system was linking gold to oil, or I'm sorry, linking US dollars to oil. So V, this is a huge change, dating back to the 70s when Nixon, dropped the gold dollar peg in exchange for Saudi oil for US dollars. So this is a huge change that's going to impact us here pretty darn quickly.
Massive changes that are ahead, bro, man. Massive changes that are ahead. Tremendously, man. I mean, why don't we just touch base on the fact that the whole petrodollar? Let's detail all that stuff real quick, man.
Yeah, so again, if we remember correctly, back in the 70s, Nixon dropped the gold dollar peg in exchange for Saudi oil for US dollars, and this was agreement the US had set up with the Saudis. They wanted the Saudis to invest, other countries to invest in US treasuries to go and to purchase their oil from the Saudi kingdom. And in recent years, we've seen direct ties. We've seen very much disruptive patterns that are breaking that paradigm apart. We're seeing Iran's oil come online where they're selling it directly in the yuan. We're seeing Russia get directly involved. So this is just kind of a dying paradigm of, again, U.S. influence. And again, we continue to talk about that. And I don't mean to go off about the United States, V, but when you see our elected officials in Washington, D.C., when you see the bickering, the arguing, that they're a do-nothing elected official representative, they get nothing accomplished for us, V. Correct. And they're putting us in harm's way of this happening. I know I went off on a little bit of tangent there, but however, this directly ties to the fact that here pretty soon, V, that those treasuries, like for example, how the Fed is now saying, hey, we're going to start unloading, our treasury. We're going to start, rolling back some of our, who's going to buy them? There's nobody out there that wants to buy U.S. treasuries right now. They're junk. It's basically like junk money, right. So this is going to impact us where, again, that at some point, V, we're going to see that whenever it's come time for us to do trade internationally, whatever, that these folks aren't going to want U.S. treasuries anymore for trade. They're going to want something more: gold, Bitcoin, other currencies involved. A huge shift away from U.S. dollars.
Yeah, it is massive, bro. It is a massive change. You got to understand, guys, we've been riding the high horse of petrodollar and world reserve currency. It is the main reason why our debt-fueled, debt-addicted economy has gotten this far. Well, you know, the fat lady's about to sing. The fat lady is about to sing, and this whole thing is about to really, literally come apart. And there's nothing else that's going to be done. So what is the West going to do? Well, I'll tell you what the West is going to do. And there's going to be some clues here, and this is important, CJ. Latest market fear porn. Why central banks won't exit. I put that title there, and that is in response to what Citigroup, what they were saying is that expect markets, and this is what one of the big banks saying, expect markets to flounder as central banks try to exit. And what they're saying, and this article is stating earlier today we showed once again, this time with Citi's assistance, why global credit impulse may be the most important variable for the global economy. The change in the flow of credit drives GDP growth, and just as importantly, the credit impulse so often correlates with asset price. This statement right there was by this guy named Matt King. I don't even know who he is. In any other market, CJ, okay, I'm going to break it down again. The change in the flow of credit drives GDP growth. And just as importantly, the credit impulse also often correlates with asset prices. That is true. It's 100% true. But is it true when a market is completely rigged and run by the algos? No. That statement is true. If this statement is true, if this was a fair and real market, it's not a real market in the sense that that it's free of manipulation. It is the most manipulated market. I'm telling. Look, 80-some odd % of all trades on Wall Street is computer to computer with no human involvement. It's all computer to computer. So you got to be out of your mind to think that this is not rigged. It is totally rigged. Prop traders are able to move the market using their algos more dramatically than even exchanges are. That's how different of a world that we're living in. So what this article is basically stating is that, central banks, they're going to exit the market, and that's going to cause the market to collapse. That's not going to happen. You know why that's not going to happen? I'll tell you why it's not going to happen. Central banks will never leave the bloody market. Why? Every single central bank in the world right now, especially the Western world, has a ridiculously huge balance sheet. Okay? They have a ridiculously huge balance. Look at the Fed's balance sheet. $4.5 trillion. $4.5 trillion. That balance sheet, folks, what are they going to do? Well, here's some clues. The Bank of Japan had a massive balance sheet. What did they do? Well, they bought out 60% of the Tokyo Stock Exchange. The Fed is going to offset it. How are they going to offset it? They can't dump treasuries like what you said earlier, CJ. Who's going to buy it? Who's going to buy treasuries? Who's going to have another treasury sale to sell you? No one's going to buy it. They're going to go shopping. How do you hide a $4.5 trillion Fed balance sheet? Simple. A 30,000 Dow.
Bingo.
Dow 29,000. Here we come. Get the T-shirts, CJ. Get the T-shirts. And there it is, folks. Anybody who's telling you that market's going to collapse, the credit crunch is happening, and the credit is done. There is no credit. There is no liquidity. There is no solvency left in the economy. Hasn't been. That's why the physical economy is dying. The physical economy is dying. But what's going on with the phantom economy? It's to the moon, Alice. It's to the moon. That's how you hide a Fed balance sheet of $4.5 trillion. Dump it in the Dow. Unreal.
Yeah, no, very well said, V. And I think in terms of you're also seeing, again, in any and every type of cryptocurrency, Bitcoin and now Litecoin is surging as well. Something that we discussed. So Bitcoin is trading, I think right now, a little over $2,700 per coin, and then Litecoin top $50. So all this money this money that's being flowed into cryptocurrencies, Ethereum, all these things are occurring is, we're seeing a huge shift again away from US dollars, and it's on display everywhere right now, V.
No, it truly is, man. It's a massive change. It's a massive shift. And I mean, it goes to show that every single one of these cryptos are on a tear, man. They are on a tear. They're topping $50. It's an all-time high. I mean, there's so many wonderful cryptos that are out there. Litecoin is one of them. And it's a game changer, man. It's a total game changer. I love it because, again, what's happening with all this, it's not just individual people that are buying it, but investment banks are buying it as well. Investors are buying it as well, because what is occurring is what guys like Charles Hugh Smith have been saying and what I've been saying. People are going to look for safe havens. They're going to go out from bonds. They're going to go into stock market. They're going to go into cryptos. And they will go into gold and silver. So the temporary, low price right now in gold and silver, it's only temporary because the fundamentals are still there. So we're going to see the write-up, and even the Fed is going to go out of the bonds. They're going to go. The central banks are going to be involved in the stock market. If you don't believe me, look at the Bank of Japan. The Bank of Japan went on a stock market buying spree. They were buying all sorts of stocks. They have like 60% of the Tokyo Stock Exchange right now is held by the Bank of Japan. I mean, that's how it is. You don't think it could happen? There's your proof. And these guys read each other's white papers. They know what their next move is. They know how they're going to behave. They know what they're going to do. So there you go.
Yeah, and DigiCrypt broke this down. DigiCrypt called this out. He nailed it. It was, 2 weeks ago interview, he specifically said, keep your eyes on Litecoin. And why did this happen? Why has their price moved more than 1,000% in the last 90 days? Well, that's because a UK-based cryptocurrency exchange called Bitstamp actually made the decision to go ahead and start listing Litecoin on their exchange. So now, boom, this has happened, and Litecoin is going to surge. So again, stay tuned here to Rogue Money. Bix on Wednesday. Bix has specifically stated lots of great things in the Ethereum, everything that's happening about this constantly evolving world, V. So, I mean, tune in. You have to stay in the know because I tell you what, that V, I spend probably about an hour a day just going through different channels on the MSM, because I like to hear the counterpoints. I like to hear specifically the lies, what they're stating, and no one's talking about the things that we are here on Rogue Money, V. No one at all.
Right, absolutely right, man. Absolutely correct, bro. Anyway, it seems like it seems like Japan is starting to see the light here, CJ.
And again, just the huge move away from US dollars. So now we're seeing a new alliance being built with Japan and China, that in fact that they are having a pivot more towards going back to the One Belt, One Road and joining with the BRICS. So this is also huge, because if you think about the amount of debt that at one time, I think Japan was the largest debt holder of U.S. Treasuries, right, V? At one point, that's probably changed. But now that we're learning as of last week that Japan's Prime Minister Abe has extended an olive branch to joining the One Belt, One Road, specifically talking about negotiations that have occurred, real minor details, things that they had to work out, which, again, the new Silk Road will become the next big trading block that's going to occur. And the thing that always just, irritates me, V, is that, we're not even in. The United States isn't even a point of. I know that Trump wants to join. I know he's actively having those discussions, but again, because of the gridlock, because of how toxic that our politicians are making any discussion with Russia, any discussion with China, making it so toxic to have any of these conversations that need to happen, this is going to impact us. So again, one of the US's number one ally, Japan, is now pivoting towards China.
Absolutely. And that is their natural sphere of influence. That is their natural trading partner. China is Japan's largest trading partner, so that's just the way they're going to go. No matter what the rhetoric is over the Senkaku Dayu Island, conflict that they're having over those islands over there. Economics is the most powerful driver in human history. Economics and money and profits are something that people could put aside their differences for and embrace for the common good. And idiot, you want to talk about idiot politicians who are part of the deadlock. Look at that idiot, John McCain. Look at that moron, bro. What's going on with the moron? The psycho patient who needs to be put into an insane asylum.
Yeah, so he's no different than Hillary Clinton. I wouldn't be surprised if you looked at his voting record. Wouldn't be surprised if you didn't see him voting for Obama even when he ran against him. I think that's the level of stupidity that we're dealing with John McCain. So now, and we covered this a few months ago, and finally it's coming a little bit more forward. The Daily Caller's covered this. It's getting exposed a little bit more, is in regards to John McCain's foundation that he has established. It's called the McCain Institute. And when you look at the McCain Institute that's in Arizona and you start digging in to look at the funds that were raised, when he ran against Obama back in 2012, he funded this McCain Institute with $9 million of unspent money. Why? Because he truly wasn't running a campaign. He was just doing it just as face value. He knew that he was going to lose the election. He didn't even really try. So with this information that's coming forward, we're finding out now that not only is this having influence from Soros-linked group, we're also seeing the Saudis donating millions of dollars to this McCain Institute. And who is the one leading the charge in Syria, V? Who was the one saying that we need to fund these moderate rebels? We need to provide weapons to these moderate rebels in Syria. Who was it? It was John McCain and his McCain Institute. So the McCain Institute is no different than the Clinton Foundation, V.
Yeah, absolutely. It's the way the Obama Institute. It's like all these guys are copying the Clinton model. They're so stupid. They're so stupid. Like, nobody trusts you a-hole politicians anymore. You guys are morons, and you want to copy the habits of a failed criminal, which is Hillary Clinton. I find it absolutely hilarious. Which brings us to the rest of the loony left. This idiot, what was his name? John Asshole is his name. He lost. John Asshole.
They were branding him as the anti-Trump candidate that they were going to.
Oh, this is the so-called Trump killer. This little beta male cuck.
Yes. He was gonna.
Fruit knob.
They were going to completely flip, Georgia. They spent massive, that the Democratic Party is already in massive debt, but they had to spend even more. So now in this Georgia special election, guess what, V? The Democrats continue to lose. So again, Democrat Ossoff loses versus Republican Handel. So good. Yeah. So good for them, as far as them spending all their money, thinking that they were going to win this election because it was going to be a vote against Donald J. Trump. But in fact, they lost once again, V.
Dear asshole libtards. And John Asshole, who is probably right now at his girlfriend's apartment crying like a little bitch that he is. Listen, you asshole liberals. When you decide to go from left to extremely far left, like what I warned about you assholes not to do back in October, when you decide to go the extreme left and you started saying crazy crap like Trump and Russia, and you wouldn't let it go after 17 intelligence agencies found jack diddly squat after almost a year of investigations. You wouldn't let it go when there's absolutely nothing there. You wanted to continue on your witch hunt after it was there. There's nothing there, and you still want to go at it. And then you decide to run this idiot, John Asshole, who lost terribly, and you're calling him the Trump killer. If he's your Trump killer, this little washed-out limp noodle, limp-wristed, milquetoast, just a beta male, CJ. Like, I would slap this kid because he looks such a beta male. Like he looks like the kind of kid that his dad didn't spend any time beating him or toughening him up. What a wuss. This is the Trump killer. This is a joke. I mean, Trump would savage this kid on the stage. This is a joke. It's laughable. Right?
It is laughable considering the amount of money that they spent there.
25+ million on this idiot.
Yeah. Huge dollars pouring. The largest ever spent on a congressional race.
Unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
And
you lost. And
he lost.
and keep supporting idiots who are, keep supporting plays where they're pretending to kill Donald Trump. Keep supporting artists who are musical artists who are having clowns looking like Donald Trump and they're getting killed. Please continue to support, washed up delisted celebrities like that Carrot Top woman. What is her name? Griffin, right? Who cut off the head of Donald Trump. Keep supporting that crap, because America don't like you a-holes. You think it's cool? You guys are so stupid. You're so stupid. See, Bill Clinton was smart. Bill Clinton ruled America center-right. He ruled center-right. He really freaking did, man. Go back to that and look at his policies. He was very center-right, right? So
he was Republicans' favorite Democrat, that's for sure.
Absolutely, man. These a-hole libtards are going far left. So enjoy. Nobody likes you guys. You've lost. And what did I tell you, CJ? They're going to set themselves back by 100 years. Here we go. I love it. Get your popcorn. This is one of the most funniest things I've ever seen. Last but not least, man, bill that's funding to stop funding terrorism gets shot down. Well, gets 13 supports.
Yeah, and this is a great, closing article, because I think that this drills down to the root of what is wrong with the DC establishment. This basically tells you that there's no difference between the left and the right in terms of their perspectives of keeping this U.S. war machine going. So, we covered this. So, Representative Tulsi Gabbard had, who's traveled to Syria, who firsthand came back after that, said, listen, there's no moderate rebels out there. These are ISIS, this is ISIL. These are terrorists that we're funding. We need to stop doing this. So when she came back, she actually came forth with a legislation, very cut and dry, called Stop Arming Terrorists legislation. There were no strings attached. There was no hidden money in this for anything. And this comes from her directly. For years, our government has been providing both direct and indirect support to these armed militant groups who are working directly with or under command of terrorist organizations, groups like Al-Qaeda and ISIS. So this bill specifically just stated, cut and dry, let's stop funding these organizations. Let's stop cutting the funding. After 5 months since its introduction in the House, only 13 of 535 members of Congress have signed on to this legislation as co-sponsors.
Yep, because they're all about fighting terrorism.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, why not, man? It's all about fight. I mean, look what these scumbags did. Look at when they shot down that Russian plane, right? That whole time, the U.S. aircraft carrier, George Washington, the F-18 Hornet took off from there. And before it took off, they had to call the Russians and say, hey, one of our planes is just coming through. They didn't tell the Russians the plane was coming through to go shoot down a Syrian airplane. So the entire time that plane was up there, it was being painted by Russian radars. The Russians knew it was up there. Right? So the entire time, under the mercy of the Russians, they went ahead and shot down a Syrian plane, came back, and then told the Russians afterwards. The Russians were furious. It's not going to happen again, because this time anything that's going to come through is going to be blown out of the sky. The entire air operation of the USS George Washington, the USS, the aircraft carrier out there, has come to a standstill. I mean, this is the type of treachery that our leadership is doing. The deep state actors, man, it's got to stop. And the only Congress members who stood against this, people like my baby mama. She stood against this. Well, that's Tulsi Gabbard, if you didn't know. But she's the only one. I mean, her and 12 other people, which I don't care, because all I care about is Tulsi. But anyway, but that's the whole thing. So it's ridiculous, man. Yeah, we're about stopping terrorism. We're about. Please, I can't wait for this. I just can't wait for this whole entire.
It's got to change. But we keep sticking to this dying paradigm. Here in the United States that dollar dominance and the U.S. war machine is going to solve all of our problems, and it's not.
No, never has, never will, man. It's a dying British paradigm. With that being said, CJ, we're at the end of the broadcast, my man. Give out your shout-outs.
Yeah, hey, make sure again, check out roguemoney.net. Continued great articles on there, so go check those out. Check out our Steemit blog. Again, we continue to gain a lot of followers on there, gaining a lot of traction on Steemit. So follow us as well there, V.
Yep, absolutely. And then later today, it will be the man, the myth, the legend himself, Big Square, will be joining us for Hump Day. It's going to be Hump Day with Biggs. All right, well, we're over now, CJ. Let's get out of here before I get real corny and start singing songs and stuff.